If you travel southeast out of Ava, Missouri, you'll come to the Trappist monastery, Assumption Abbey. About a mile or so back in the woods near the abbey is a cave, Tom Brown's Cave. Many people know about Tom Brown's Cave and travel to see it all the time. Not many people know about the history. Tom Brown was born in Pittsylvania County, Virginia, around the year 1812. Then, sometime between 1812 and 1840, he and his family immigrated to Brown County, Indiana. Tom Brown and his family were believed to have moved from Virginia to Indiana because of their hatred towards slavery. In the late 1830s, Tom Brown had obtained land in Indiana, helped establish a church, was very involved with the political affairs of the county surrounding Brown County, and became a family man. On January 26, 1839, Thomas Brown and Sarah Floyd were married by Minister John Mills. Unfortunately, Sarah died very shortly after. Early in 1840, Tom remarried to Margaret Davis in Nashville, Indiana, in Brown County. Tom's new wife, Margaret, died on December 25, 1844, after giving birth to twin girls. Both of the baby girls lived and were named Margaret and Julia Ann. Sometime during the year 1844, Tom became sick of the unhealthy conditions of Indiana after losing his two young wives. Tom left both of his infant daughters in the care of some of the maternal relatives and headed west. He promised to return to get his daughters once he found and established a new home. Tom arrived in what was then Ozark County, but is now Douglas County, Missouri, in 1845. The population of the enormous Ozark County was 2,295 citizens in 1850. Ozark County was organized in 1841, and Douglas County was organized in 1857. Tom Brown was one of the first settlers in the area that became Douglas County. Tom chose to settle on the Bryant Creek just across from the cave, which still bears his name. On February 27, 1846, he married Tennessee-born Mary Burden, who was about 18 years old at the time. Tom built a blacksmith shop on the east side of the Bryant River just north of the cave. The cabin was built across the river. He bought other land on the Bryant, but he and Mary lived out their lives on the original homestead near the cave. Here, all 7 of their children were born. Whenever Tom was in the progress of building both his blacksmith shop and his cabin, he got behind schedule and winter was coming. Tom took refuge inside of the large cave across the river from where his cabin was being built. Tom, his wife Mary, and his 2 young daughters stayed in the cave the entire winter until the cabin was built. Since Tom was one of the first people to discover the cave, was one of the first settlers in Douglas County, and since he endured an entire winter in the cave, it was named Tom Brown's Cave in respect of Thomas Brown. In the future years, Tom Brown's Cave has been used for many different purposes. People would store foods during the winter so they would not spoil. During the summer, it was used as natural air conditioning, and many community events were held at the cave. There were community picnics, and even Tom Brown would hold religious services at the cave. Bad things happened too, such as in 1897, Edward Perry and his uncle William Yost went to Brown's Cave to plot the robbery of the Sawyer family. He and Yost both ended up being involved in the murder of the 3-member Sawyer family in their home at Ava, Missouri. Today, many people travel to visit the monastery, to swim in the Bryant, and to see Tom Brown's Cave. Many people go inside the cave with equipment to see the features of the interior of the cave and to see how far they can make it back. Me and a group of friends did just this. A Missouri U.S. Geological Survey's explorer in 1956 had the description of the cave as muddy. The survey's explorer reported this: a very fine Gothic arch, 20 by 20 feet, with a rock floor opens in the east bluff of the Bryant Water Creek Valley about 30 feet above the floodplain. For the first 600 feet in the cave, the floor is covered with angular gravel. For more than 2,000 feet beyond this distance, the floor consists of low terraces and slip-off slopes of tan-colored gritty clay. A small stream trench, 2 to 3 feet deep, cuts into the clay floor and makes the terraces. This stream, ordinarily only much attenuated mud puddle, has been meandering and undercutting the bedrock walls apparently since the clay terrace floor was formed. In numerous places, the tan-colored clay remnants reach the ceiling. One needs rubber boots for traversing this long stretch. After about 2,650 feet, the rider gave up on traversing the cave because of the deepening mud. The cave is actually between 2 and 3 miles deep, but because of the surveyor giving up, he only recorded as 2,600 feet, and because of this, many references to the cave say it is only 2,600 feet deep. There is some wildlife in Brown's Cave, such as the common cave salamander, the pickerel frog, and the eastern pipistrelle bat. We viewed several of each of these species while in the cave. While in the cave, the mud does become very miserable, commonly reaching up to your knees, but there are many different cave formations such as stalactites, stalagmites, columns, and soda straws. There are deep trenches made in many parts of the rock and very steep rock formations. Through most of the cave you can easily stand upright and walk, but towards the end there are several instances where you must crawl for large distances, including the very last stretch that leads to the end of the cave. After traversing the entire cave, we were very exhausted from walking through all the knee-high mud. Even though the trip to and from the back of Tom Brown's Cave is very tiring, I wouldn't hesitate to do it again. Tom Brown's Cave is very interesting and full of history. Because of Tom Brown's Cave, many early settlers in the Ozarks were able to survive some of Missouri's harsh weather conditions. All in all, Tom Brown's Cave had a very important purpose in its existence.